Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. Let's get my TBR in order for the month of October. Of course, this involves drawing a new subgenre for me to read for the month. I'm hoping one of two things. I'm hoping that I either draw some type of horror or some type of romance. Horror because it's the month of October and everybody likes to read horror novels in the month of October, but romance because coming off of 2 months of fantasy and going into a month of horror, I could stand a little bit of a break. I could, I'm just saying. I'm going to adjust you. There we go. I like that better. I do have 5 TBR books that I pulled from my shelves. Each one appears on the Goodreads list for darkest books of all time, which I've got questions, but it's not for me to say, I guess. So you'll be picking from one of those. And honestly, I need to forego the Kindle Roulette selection this month. I love doing the Kindle Roulette selection, but it always ends up being the lowest priority as far as what I'm determined to get read in the month. And so I'm backed up a little ways on Kindle Roulette books, but also there is an additional thing that I'm reading in the month of October, or that I'm trying to read in the month of October. It's huge. It's about that thick. So that's a whole thing. So let's start, like we always do, drawing a new subgenre for me to read. If it's another fantasy, I'm going to lose my mind. Angie, I feel like I talk about Angie all the time, who you'll see quite frequently down in the comments section, did say maybe I should draw, that's probably an obnoxious sound, I apologize. Angie did say that maybe I should draw 3 subgenres every month, and to give myself an option, especially, if I go multiple months drawing the same thing like fantasy, how bad that could be for my mental health. So let's give that a try this month and see what we get. The first one, well, I don't know if there's any need to draw. The first one is Romantic Suspense. So we'll try 2 more. All these pieces of paper are just totally stuck together. Romantic Suspense. And that's not bad because that can get quite dark sometimes. So that might fit into October pretty nicely. Sci-fi, Immortality. Immortality science fiction. I don't even remember writing this down. Immortality science fiction? What does that mean? I forget. And let's reach right down in here and grab one last one to give myself a fighting chance. This will definitely not be it. Fantasy, Sword, and Sorcery. So I have to choose between Romantic Suspense and Sci-Fi Immortality. Both could work into October. Now, whichever 2 I don't choose have to go back in the bowl. That's how this works. I'm not, giving myself a pass. Okay, so let's Google Immortality science fiction and see what we're dealing with. The best Immortality science fiction books. Holy Fire, The Eden Cycle, Welcome Chaos, To Live Forever, Diaspora, The Hollow Lands, The Boat of a Million Years, The Worthing Saga, The Immortality Virus, This Immortal, Pandora's Star, Immortality Inc., The Immortality Game, Altered Carbon. Altered Carbon is Immortality science fiction? I guess that makes sense. Okay, not gonna lie, I watched the Netflix show and I kind of enjoy what is his name? I always get him and Skarsgård mixed up because they grew up together or they went to the same school or something. Joel. And I always think it's Cinnamon. We're falling down a rabbit hole. Kinnaman. Joel Kinnaman. I like him. I like Joel Kinnaman a lot. If you've never seen The Killing with Joel Kinnaman, you definitely should. That's a show that started out on network and then it was canceled and Netflix actually picked it up for an additional season. But him and Alexander Skarsgård are both Swedish, and they went to the same school, I believe, in the same town, and so they know each other. And I'm just thinking Sweden might be the place to be. If you don't know who Skarsgård is, Alexander Skarsgård, he was Eric on True Blood. Wow, this went way off course. Phew. And now I'm excited about it, even though I'm not. Even though it would be way more of a challenge for me than Romantic Suspense. I mean, come on. If I choose Romantic Suspense, the challenge is going to be reading the darkest Romantic Suspense I possibly can in order to integrate with all of my other October reading. Well, I'm going to get rid of fantasy, sword, and sorcery. We're not doing that. We're not doing that now, and hopefully we're not doing that for a while, because that sounds an awful lot like Arthurian fantasy. I'm not sure what the difference is. So Immortality, sci-fi, and Romantic Suspense. I hate making decisions. This is why this was a bad idea, Angie. Jeez. There's a reason that you guys vote on what I'm going to read every month. Because I can't make decisions. I did say I want it easy. I am super excited to learn that Altered Carbon is Immortality science fiction novel, but I'm going to keep that up here, and I'm going to go with Romantic Suspense. Now you might be saying, what is the point of a subgenre that you read all of the time? But the goal is to sort of push myself in the types of books that I choose for the category, and maybe reading authors that I'm not super comfortable with or familiar with. And like I said, I'm going to try to make it as dark as possible. So there's still some challenge in it, even though I am pretty well versed in Romantic Suspense. There's that. Now, as for the 5 physical TBR books that are supposedly some of the darkest of all time, I'm going to need you guys to decide which one of these I read in the month of October. Your first option I've had for years on my shelf. It is Blindness by Jose Saramago. This is a story of people in a city who gradually succumb to blindness. It spreads throughout the city. Those who are afflicted get segregated into this camp, which quickly goes bad. And we're following a doctor who succumbs and who is afflicted with the condition, and his wife is with him because she faked being blind. And so it becomes a story about her trying to lead the others to safety and flee the conditions under which they were subjected to in this camp for people who are already suffering. So this is critically acclaimed. This is loved across booktube. This is the winner of the 1998 Nobel Prize for Literature. I mean, come on. And supposedly, it's one of the darkest books of all time. I don't think these next 2 will need any explanation about what they are or why they're on the list for the darkest of all time. The first is Darkly Dreaming, Dexter. This is by Jeff Lindsay. This is the book that starts the series that launched the television show Dexter, with that guy as Dexter. I never watched Dexter. I haven't read the book, obviously. So I would be coming to this with fresh eyes, and maybe those of you who are fans of Dexter would like a completely unbiased opinion. He works for the Miami Police Department. He's apparently a blood splatter expert, and he also happens to be a serial killer. Now, in his mind, he justifies that because he only kills bad people, but still, there's a contradiction there. So I want to read it because it has become so iconic, and October seems like a great time. Also on the list for darkest and somewhat similar is American Psycho by Bret Easton Ellis. This is the story of another serial killer. This is a story of a guy, Patrick Bateman. He's handsome, well-educated, intelligent. He works in Wall Street. The synopsis of this book, interestingly enough, does not quite declare or hint about what the book is. So I just know that Patrick Bateman is a serial killer because I know about American Psycho. It's, pretty iconic. Dare I say, a contemporary classic. But yes, I've never read it, and this is the one that I can say without a doubt probably deserves its place on the darkest books of all time, because that seems to be what I hear about it the most, is how disturbing and dark it is. So let me know if you want me to read American Psycho. There were 2 Gillian Flynn books on the list. Well, actually, there's probably more than that, but I'm not reading Gone Girl. I'm tired of hearing things compared to Gone Girl, so I have no desire to read Gone Girl. Good job, book marketers. You've made me not ever want to read Gone Girl because you claim every book in the world is like it. So, yeah. But anyways, the other 2 books that were for sure on the list was Gillian Flynn's Dark Places and Sharp Objects. I own both of those, but of the 2 of them, I think Dark Places sounds more interesting, and I know that I could go off and like watch Sharp Objects, which I wouldn't do, of course, without reading the book first. Dark Places is about a girl named Libby who survived the Satan sacrifice where her mother and 2 sisters were murdered when she was 7. She ended up testifying that her brother was the killer, and 25 years after that, so she'd be 32, a club or secret society obsessed with these types of killings approaches her, and she sees an opportunity to make some money if she, gives them information and seeks out additional information that they can use to hopefully prove her brother's innocence. In the meantime, the wrong things become known and she becomes targeted by the killer. And lastly, I'm pretty sure this one probably also deserves its spot. You guys seem to love it when I hauled it. My Pet Serial Killer. This is by Michael J. Seidlinger. This is literally the story of a dominatrix, essentially, who uses her power over her sub to make her submissive a serial killer. It says it's a psychosexual portrait of a woman obsessed with performance, with power, with sex, and with gore. I'm sure this would just be a total ride. Actually, he might already be a serial killer when she finds him, and she just helps him become a better serial killer. Crazy. But I think that Claire, I think she makes a habit of this. The synopsis alludes to something about her past serial killers, her past pet serial killers. So it sounds pretty dark and disturbing to me. So those are the 5 books. Once again, My Pet Serial Killer, Dark Places, American Psycho, Darkly Dreaming Dexter, and Blindness. Let me know down in the comment section below which one of these dark books you want me to read for the month of October. And like I said, I'm going to skip the Kindle roulette pick this month. I am reading something else in its place that I'm keeping a secret because I might fail at it. Why fail publicly when you can fail privately? Let me know if you have any super dark romantic suspense in mind for me to read for the subgenre project, and which physical TBR book you want me to tackle. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all very soon.